Phone. All right, we're live now, Russ. Let me hide that, maybe. Hide that for a moment. What's good, y'all? We see the comments. We'll let people come in. We'll let people trickle in. It's been a minute. It's been since Auburn, December. Happy New Year. I got to say it on the pod too, though.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's already January 7th.
Nah, the season going by fast.
Whew.
Did I hear myself? Hold on. Here we go. Let me get back to the score. Yeah. It's quite the tone change from Kansas and Kentucky streams. Cause y'all were bugging. Some of y'all, man.
Yeah, I was on the Arizona stream, and we were a little nervous going into that game.
Oh yeah.
Happened.
Oh man. How quick it can all change. Where is this share button? My fault, y'all. It's been a minute. I'm a little rusty. Okay, let me see. There we go. Let's get it started. Where this at?
The three of you guys, man, thank you for what you guys do, and appreciate you guys having me on.
We were trying not to score and everything. We got about 33s or something.
Yeah, I mean, we kind of felt that. We kind of feed off that energy.
This place is amazing. Like I really love Duke, and I love the atmosphere I'm in here.
Mark Williams, beast mode. Paolo first half, he had the cramping stuff. Fair enough. Beast mode.
Welcome back to the Crazie Cast. It has been a long time. I apologize. Russ apologized. Jordan apologized on behalf of Ryan. But we're back. Happy New Year to everybody. Happy New Year. It's been a great run. We have a lot to talk about. Maybe we'll backtrack a little bit, but a lot to talk about tonight. Duke rolls through Pittsburgh, 5-0 in the ACC. They said this was supposed to be Duke's, I guess, biggest threat in the ACC. It did not look like it. Yeah.
Never believed it.
never really. I'm not gonna lie. I never had doubt about this game. But yeah, before we get to the guys, we gotta play this. We gotta admire this one time. Come on, man. I'm not gonna lie. A lot of that happened after that dunk. I checked out a little bit. I'm not gonna lie, but we got the win. So, fellas, got my guy Jordan here. Ryan not available tonight. So our guy Jordan joining us. Russ is back. Fellas, how we feeling? Russ, give us your thoughts.
Yeah, I feel good. Well, I don't feel good. I'm a little sick, guys. Sorry. But I feel good in the sense that the team is very good. We were talking on text about how this team very much gives me the flavor of those, like 99 to 2003, 2004, that era of Duke basketball where the defense, first and foremost, games were won. We lived and died and breathed defense. And then we also had some top flight talent, some lottery level talent in order to supplement that, in order to run a highly explosive offense, potent offense. I think this is the best defense that Duke has had, in the only team in the last like 20, 25 years that I'll say 20, the best team in the last 20 years outside of maybe 2000.
Make stand on it. Make the statement, man.
Well, outside of maybe 2010, but 2010 was such a different beast. Like 2010 was a very pure, let's win on defense. It's not about like having the explosive, insane talent on the offensive end. It was like very methodical, right? Like this team is not as methodical on the offensive end at times, right? We see that from time to time, but what it does have is tremendous, for lack of a better word, spurtability, right? Like we can just go off at any point. And that makes a difference when you have a defense that you know is going to do the heavy lifting night in and night out. It is really unfortunate that the ACC sucks. I mean, it's so unfortunate. I mean, I was not, I was not concerned about SMU at all. I really wasn't concerned about Pitt. I think Pitt's numbers have been inflated by, what they are very, very good at. Pitt is beating teams that are worse than them because their offense is give ISO guards the ball and let them shoot. Like, they have like 250th assist rate or something. Like Duke is just designed to destroy a team like that, right? Like that was not a concern. I don't really know where the concerns come. I think that just the odds are Duke will drop a game or two in ACC play. But, more than anything, I'm looking for, are we continuing to bludgeon these teams? Like, I don't want to win all but one game in the ACC if we're going to win 6 of them by like 3 points, 4 points, right? Like, I don't want to do that like song and dance. This is an ACC where we need to be beating down most of these teams. These need to be double-digit wins for the most part to show that we can compete against teams that are even better, right? So yeah, I think we're doing that tonight. Obviously, was not a night for Caleb Foster and Isaiah Evans because of Pittsburgh's offense, right? If they're doing all ISO exploit defenders on the other end, I mean, Caleb and Isaiah are very exploitable in ISO for guards like that, right? So what does John do? He just doesn't really play him, and it worked out great. I think that it's really nice to know that we have like a core 6 that, regardless of the matchup, a core 6 that is going to be incredibly strong. Proctor had sort of his nights seem to be really quiet, but like he makes big baskets when we need him, and he makes sick passes when we need him. Flagg, we don't need to say anything about Cooper Flagg. He's just incredible. Sion, great. Khan had that spurt that was phenomenal, that really, like, we never looked back from there for the most part. Common had a great game. Malik doesn't really like the stat sheet, but he's a positive player when he's out there. He makes a difference with those deflections and everything else. So yeah, great game. Hope we see more of it going forward.
Yeah, Mason Gillis, good game too.
Good game for Mason, although he didn't play very much, obviously. Yeah,
in the first half. We will get to, I guess, saying which ACC game you think we're gonna lose because you said 1 or 2. But J-Man, what's the bell? Give us their focus.
Yeah, bro, I appreciate you having me on. Again, last time was Arizona. Obviously, it was a win, but yeah, same thing that Russ said. Defense has been phenomenal, and it's pretty crazy when we talk about how good Duke's defense is, and the National Defense Player of the Year comes off the bench for this team. Like he deserves to be in that conversation of not winning it with his deflections. He continues to do in Malik Brown, and he's been phenomenal. And then you see the guys like a Sion James. He had a double-double 2 games ago. He had 7 assists in the first half against SMU. And then this game, he had 7 or 6 rebounds in the first half. And you just don't see this happen in the moment. And then you see him get, double-digit points, 7 rebounds, I think, in this game, and 4 assists. And we talk about Flagg and Knipple, but then Sion does his thing. Proctor is Mr. Efficient. Like, when the ball's in his hands, good things happen. And then Malawach, 11 and 8, who just – he's starting to really it's starting to click for him in multiple aspects of the game. And the lob is there a lot more, and Duke's finding him. And look, this team is defensive minded first. And I always said it was a good thing for this team to have the defense ahead of the offense. And now you're seeing the offense catch up. This does snap a 3-game streak of scoring 80 or more, but Duke wins by 30 by scoring less than 80. It just that shows you how powerful and dominant this team truly is.
Nah, that's definitely, and even with the falling short of 80, they missed a lot of open shots tonight where they should have they should have probably been over 80 tonight. So yeah, not even concerned with that. But yeah, to your point, man, this defense, we talked a little bit about it before the show. The team that is averaging 84 points per game, you hold them to 47 points. SMU was held maybe 25 points below their scoring average.
Yeah, something like that.
Like that's a consistent theme, and like that's, I mean, Russ won't say it because I'm gonna say I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it is the best defense I've ever seen at Duke. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say it. I know people are gonna get mad about the early 2000s, late 90s team. I just think with the landscape of basketball today, especially with the pace and obviously the 3-point shot, and the skill in itself, I think it is harder to defend. But I'm ready to go on that limb. I just think their versatility, their size, their length, I don't think we've seen this before.
By the way, Zion, I don't want to interrupt. Somebody just brought it in the comments too. I just saw Duke is at least temporarily #1 in KenPom and has the #1 defense, which I do think will stay given what Tennessee did today. So pretty cool.
Number one overall.
Oh, no, also #1 overall. Yeah. Although Auburn is playing right now, when they beat Texas by 15 plus, they'll go back to being #1 probably. Okay, but it's nice to have for like an hour. But the #1 overall defense we also have, and I do think that will stick. Yes.
Hey, I take it. I'm not a big KenPom guy, but when it pushes the agenda, sure, I'll believe it. But yeah, I think it's been just a very calming, comfortable stretch for Duke. I think for all the years we've had. I mean, January is still very early. It's still very early in January, so I don't want to jinx it, because people said I jinxed Khan's free throw percentage today. But the Duke is usually a team, even in their best years. We saw, I think 2015, they struggled in January. There were a couple hiccups. Will that happen this year? I don't expect that to happen. I don't. Like Russ said, if we drop 1 or 2, I don't expect it to happen in January, but if we drop 1 in this month, I don't think it's the end of the world. But yeah, this team is dominating start to finish for the most part, going on the road, laughing at people's sellout crowds and blowing teams out. I think this is, as you can't write a perfect, start to the season. And, a lot of people that did overreact to the Kentucky, the Kansas game, we might look back in March and say we are very thankful we lost those games, especially the manner we lost them, because it was a 1-possession game. It was not like Duke was completely outmanned by those teams. So, yeah, I mean, it's a very, very exciting start to the season. Do we want to backtrack a bit, I guess, because we missed a lot?
Yeah.
I mean, real quick, just to touch on what you said about the January stuff. Yeah, that's been consistent for a long time as January struggles. But I think it's a combination of two things. I think it's a testament to the strength of this team and a testament to how bad the conference is, especially the teams are going to play in January. Yeah. Like this, if it wasn't for Duke being so incredibly dominant this year, this would be the worst ACC of the last 25 years. Duke is pulling it north, with how they're beating the hell out of teams, but there's not much to build from there, which is disappointing in the sense that, again, there's not a lot of margin for error. But luckily, if we're beating teams by 20 plus, then that covers the margin for error pretty considerably. So
yeah, but yeah, I think over this stretch we've seen a lot of basketball. We've seen, a lot of blowout victories. What are some things, I guess, you guys during the stretch have noticed that we haven't covered, I guess, in the past?
I mean, I just think it shows how deep our bench is. Like, they're not always consistent, but when one guy or two guys have an off night, like Caleb Foster and Isaiah Evans didn't have a good night tonight, then you see Mason Gillis, those 7 minutes, they were very productive, and he's had a 3 or 4 game stretch now where you're getting Purdue Mason Gillis. He's coming in, he's contributing on both ends of the floor, and Malik Brown's done Malik Brown things, but the SMU game, right? Like, I tweeted it. Who would have thought that the 2 impact players off the bench to start the first half were Caleb Foster and Mason Gillis at SMU? And it wasn't Isaiah Evans and Malik Brown. And so that makes Duke deep. I know that was the hot topic of Duke when they lost early in the season, was they need to go to their bench more. They need to not play 7, 8 guys. I still think it's 8 guys. I just think you don't know who those 3 guys off the bench will be until you start getting in the first half and you found the rhythm of the guys you need to plug in for the second half.
Yeah. To that point, I got to tweet this. Hold on, give me like 3 seconds.
Well, I'll just say,
yeah,
Mason,
go ahead, Russ.
Mason currently shooting almost 39% from 3 in ACC games. I mean, obviously a very small sample at this point, but considering for his career, he is like a 39-40% shooter. We kind of would expect that this is what he should be doing, in ACC play. How much tick he gets, I think depends on some of the other intangibles and the matchups and what have you. But I like, even more than the fact that some guys might have an off night, I like even more that we've got the lineup versatility for, if we're playing a team that, goes ISO heavy. Like, Duke's gotten fried by ISO heavy guard offenses in the last few years. I mean, Duke's gotten fried by teams with like some 6'10" goon who gets, like 18 and 11 when they average like 5 and 4, right? Like, we've had some of those as well. We've got the versatility to counter a lot of those things. I still think there are some things that, even as we're number 1 on KenPom, I'm sure John would also say there are things that Duke can continue to work on. But the start, you have to be thrilled with. I mean, you just have to be.
Yeah. Sorry, I just had to tweet Zion Wade. So he just had a 360 dunk. So I just had to get that. Ironic, we were talking about that on the timeline today. But yeah, I think to the point of Foster, Evans, even Gillis at times. Like, I know Russ, you even pointed today, Foster had 9 minutes. Let me check the numbers. 9 minutes, did not register a field goal attempt. And I just
he had one. What is it? He had 1 rebound and no other statistics. I mean, he almost had a 9 trillion there, right? Like,
and I don't think people will say, it's because Foster is not good enough. I just think it's because we have so many weapons, and if the hot hand is going, the hot hand is gonna stay. Sion played 36 minutes tonight. Why? Because he's so valuable on the court. You could have pulled up, especially when Flagg got into foul trouble. You have to play Sion more. We're kind of in a lucky situation. I know people, national media, a lot of national media, and it pisses me off every time I hear it. It's just like, Caleb Foster, we don't know how Duke is gonna do in the tournament because we don't know about their point guard play. Caleb Foster. All I hear is Caleb Foster, Caleb Foster. We don't know how Caleb Foster is going to stop bringing up Caleb Foster. Duke's national championship is not dependent on Caleb Foster being a star. It's not even dependent on Caleb Foster averaging 10 points per game, 9 points. It's not. This team is that deep. We're that good. And if Sion comes to play, if he plays his normal game, Tyrese is shooting the ball well off the ball, those two are going to be in at the guard spot in the tournament for 35 of the minutes, and we're going to be fine. And because of our depth, because of our versatility and our ability to even have other guys like Isaiah, Caleb, Mason, Malik come off the bench and provide sparks at different moments, we're not relying on Caleb Foster, man. I'm just tired of hearing that.
Those Proctor dribble drives today, hey, man. Look, he can make reads with the best of them. Khan had some sick reads today. I mean, obviously Cooper's a good passer. Malik's a good passer. Our assist rate, I don't have it up. It's high. Our assist rate's really high. Top 50 in the country. almost 60% of our field goals made or assisted. Obviously, it was really high today. Look, we passed the ball well. I don't really have any concerns about a point guard at all.
Yeah, and I mean, you slide Knipple. Knipple has the highest assist turnover ratio on the team, and he is basically now a point guard when he's on the floor with him and Cooper Flagg running 2-man game, him and Malawatch running 2-man game, and then he's had he only had 1 assist in this game, but he had that skip pass to Proctor in the first half that was a missile, and Proctor missed. The only miss Proctor had, of course, he was 3 of 4 from 3, but that's another guy, Knipple. His shooting concerns or slump was well documented, but now over 4 games, he's shooting over 40% from 3, and that was missing while Duke was winning games. He was in a slump, so Duke was playing in these high 60s, low 70s contests or scoring wise. Now Knipple's hot again. If Isaiah can get hot at the same time as Knipple, we saw that I think at Georgia Tech. It's fun when those 2 guys are on the floor together and they both have flamethrowers.
For sure, and I think. To that point, of Khan being able to be a playmaker, I don't think. I mean, I'm not going to count how many teams in the country can do this, but the fact that Duke does have five players in their rotation that can initiate the offense, I do feel like people are kind of sleeping on that in itself when it comes to Tyrese, Khan, Cooper, Sion, and then Caleb off the bench. That's why every time I hear it every week, because you know me, I'm watching every single clip of Duke analysis from everybody. Yeah. And how many times I hear people harp on Caleb Foster?
I know
that they're not watching.
4 of the 5 guys you just named too, clearly are totally comfortable in their role. They get it, they fit in, they know where they fit in. Very comfortable. Obviously, Caleb has some issues in that respect, but also if the 5th of those guys, I mean, if one of the guys goes down, for instance, and you put him in, I think he sort of understands what his role is right away, right? It's just when you have Sion, which again we talked about in the offseason, he's just too good on both ends of the floor. You can't keep a guy like that off the floor. You just can't. Proctor's too good. So it's a hard, for Caleb to draw the short straw like that is tough, but he's still very talented. He's just not as good defensively as these guys is the problem. That's why he hadn't played so much. And then because his offense has been struggling earlier in the year, then what is he left with? He's got to come off the bench. So I don't know how much of that is rollout, still feeling out, his part on this team, and how much of it is just shooting slump that'll work itself out over the course of the season. We'll find out. I hope he figures it out. It'd be awesome to have him have one of those big blow up games that he tends to have.
Yeah. He's fitting. He'll find it. I think we saw it again against SMU, and that's kind of been his MO his freshman year and this year is just he's inconsistent, and that's just what it is. But that's college basketball outside of the Duke bubble. You have the freshmen, sophomores finding their way in college where they're going to have a game they score 10 points, the next game they score 3 points, and the next game they score 7, and they're trying to find their way. But obviously Duke, you're under a microscope. So I think Foster's his learning curve is a little bit farther or a little bit longer for him. And I think if he is here next year, I think you see him get more comfortable as a junior, because Tyrese Proctor's made some strides from freshman, sophomore year to junior year to where he's dependent. Hey, this guy's going to give you at least 10 points a game. Whereas Foster still 9 points here, 0 points there, 12 points here, 0 points there. So if he can get just consistent at 7 off the bench, oh boy, that would be great for Duke.
Yeah. Someone asked us to answer this question, so I wanted to get to it before we move on to the future of the team. Reach, shout out to Reach. Question was thoughts on the conference being weak and how that will have the young guys ready or not for the tourney.
I think they'll have them ready by if Russ said earlier that these games need to be blowouts against these bad ACC teams. Now you're playing like a Darren Harris with 5 minutes in an ACC game. You're getting guys off the bench, and I think every rep, no matter if it's a 30-point win like this, conference is conference, and these guys who are playing will be locked in and will continue to grow from March. The Illinois game, honestly, is a blessing in disguise because Duke can have a cakewalk in the ACC, and it's like, all right, this Illinois team is pretty solid. You need to lock back in before we tune it up for March.
Yeah, I have not much to add to that. I think that more than anything, can we keep stomping on these teams, right?
Yeah.
That I think will be the biggest indicator of readiness. I think young teams fall asleep at the wheel against bad opponents. You know, that's just it's basic psychiatry, right? Or psychology. It's one of them. It's their brains. And you know, if they don't take their foot off the gas at all, then that's a great sign. And like Jordan said, the Illinois game is going to be huge in that respect. And also a couple of the games that we have left, you know, true road games against, you know, the other two best teams in the ACC, which isn't saying much, but we have games on the road against them. I think those will also be really good indicators of, you know, what we can do against 7-8 seed types of teams, you know?
Yeah. I mean, also, I mean, I'm not going to, because where we are as a team today is because of the non-conference slate. You know,
Correct.
The fact that we challenged ourselves early with battle after battle is the reason why we're already battle tested for the ACC to run through the ACC. And I feel like, you know, I'm not going to compare us to this program because I hate this program. But UConn past couple of years hasn't had the you know, the most competitive conference. I think 2 years ago was a better example maybe than last year.
Yeah, for sure.
But I think you know, because they were tested throughout the year, eventually, you know, they got to the tournament and started smacking up on teams. I think Duke is fine. They'll play the ACC, and like Jordan said, the Illinois game is a litmus test. It's like, okay, you got through the ACC. Now let's recheck ourselves against, you know, the top team, because Illinois is trending to end up might be a top 10 matchup by next February. And that's a reset for us. And then we go back and finish a conference play, get to the conference tournament. We'll be ready for the tournament. I think this team has been tested enough and will be tested enough going into March.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me that Illinois is the best team in the Big Ten, I wouldn't argue with you. I mean, I think that playing a conference that is, although they have not had the tournament results that other conferences have had, it's still a very strong conference compared to the ACC. Yes. So, I mean, it'll be a huge matchup.
Yeah, and I mean, shout out to Arizona because they're winning games now. They're gonna make our win that win look much better. Is it still? Is it still quad one?
It's 100% a quad one game because it was a true road game. So Arizona just has to finish. It was a true road game, right? I'm not making that up.
Yeah, that was.
Yeah, so they have to finish in the top 75 for that. It will 100% be a quad one game. Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah, so I mean that's gonna end up, I feel like, aging very well than it's looked recently. But yeah, I think we can get to the topic I wanted to talk about because Russ alluded to it a little bit. You said we're gonna take 2 losses in the ACC.
Maybe, you know, you play the odds, right? Like,
yeah.
I know that people like to, in this situation, go like, who are they going to lose to? And the answer is, I don't know. It's going to be one against one of the 2 best teams that we're going to play left, probably. And then, you know, maybe one against some bullshit team in a road game spot where we fall asleep, right? Like, those games happen even to the best teams in the country. These sorts of games sometimes happen. So you know, so I think, like, look, Ken Palm has it at what, a 30% chance that we sweep the ACC right now, something like that, which is insanely high, right? It's ridiculous. No, 37% chance.
Yeah,
I mean, that's ridiculous, right? That's insane. So I mean, odds that we lose one game are still it's likely, right? That we lose 2 games, I still think probably likely. I don't know that I'd go past 2, though. I mean, that's still insane. If we only lose 4 games all season, and one of them we lost 2 players, for the second half, I mean, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you, Russ. It's going to be, I think 2 is the right play and the right thing to say, because I just can't fathom undefeated in conference play, just because, you don't see that often. Like Duke hasn't won that, or hasn't dominated ACC like this, obviously a down year in a long time. So I need to see the undefeated season to believe it. But yeah, 1 or 2 losses at the end of the day, that's also, I would take that coming into the preseason.
So I'll follow up because y'all want to do the cop out. Let's say the losses are not to Clemson or UNC. Is Duke still deserving of a 1 seed?
If we lose 2 games not to Clemson or UNC,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, yes, dude. Like almost certainly. Like we're finishing 27-4 with wins against Auburn and Arizona and a season sweep of UNC and a win at Clemson and beating Pitt by 30 and beating SMU by 30. Like that's, I mean, I guess it depends on what the teams in the Big 12 and the other places do. But like, if we only lose 2 more games, regardless of whether we can't lose to Boston College or whatever, but like, I don't know. I think that's
Wake Forest will be tricky because Wake Forest is hard to play there, and Hunter Silas is a really good player. But yeah, like Russ said, I think Duke's clear cut still a 1 seed if that happened, because what you just stated, Russ. I mean, they were the 30-point wins in conference play to start's been very impressive.
Wake's offense is just so bad. It's so bad. Like abysmally bad. That's why I say it's like hard to figure out, because all of these teams, if they make it just comes down to, now this is the bigger topic, right? Is one of the things that I think is clearly by design, but is, maybe opens the door for a silly loss somewhere, is that Duke is top 40 in the country in terms of 3-point attempt rate. So we're launching a bunch of threes. 47%, of our field goal attempts are 3-pointers. And we have one of the lower free throw attempt rates in the country, right? Because again, we're taking a lot of jump shots, so that makes a lot of sense. I think when you see teams that take a lot of threes and don't get to the line very much, then all it takes is one bad night, right? Like it just takes one night where you can't hit the broadside of a barn, and then that's the game, right? Like,
yeah. But the flip side to that is, if this was any other Duke team, that team is definitely susceptible to losing. But the way this team defends, sometimes it just don't matter.
You're right.
It just don't matter. But I get what you're saying. It does take just one bad night on the road.
Yeah, I think I'd be more concerned about the teams that have good offense in ACC play and bad defense for that exact reason. So you're looking at like a team like, I'm not going to say them because their defense is so abysmal, but like, God, even Notre Dame is really bad.
Yeah, we're playing at home against Notre Dame too. That's something.
Yeah, I mean, like, just when you look down the line, the only teams that are remotely balanced in ACC play are like FSU, who's not very good, but like they'll have size, I guess.
Like home game though.
Yeah, God, you're right. I mean, it's hard to find. That's why I think it's a moot point of if we beat Clemson and we beat Clemson and we win both UNC games, then the chances of us going undefeated in ACC play are like 90%. Like they're really, really high. Odds are one of those losses is there for sure.
And then Virginia on the road. What do you feel about that?
Virginia's offense is so bad. It's sub 200 in the country. I mean, like that's a SWAC level offense. You know what I mean? Like I don't know, man. Like I just think they're broken.
That's a team where if Duke can't hit the broadside of the barn. Duke scores 62 points. Virginia might score 23. Like it might be one of those games because that Virginia team cannot score. So
Louisville just scored 70 points against them, beat them by 20 at JPJ. I mean, like, look, man, and that was without Pryor. That's without they've had some injury issues for Louisville. Like Duke is just a clear tier above Louisville, right? So.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. It's just going to take some weird stuff, and I think the odds are that one of those losses is going to be either at Clemson or one of the UNC games. Just
Yeah, I think that at Clemson game for sure will be another litmus test. Otherwise, I mean, it's very hard for me, especially the way they look on the road. They look better on the road. I'm not sure who they're losing to because Q's has looked sorry this year. Miami, my goodness, like I don't know. It's Wake. I'd agree, Wake or Clemson, but even Wake, I just don't see it unless Hunter Salas.
I could make a goofy argument for the fact that we're playing at Syracuse on Wednesday and then at Clemson on Saturday. That either we're so far beyond looking ahead of Syracuse that maybe if the shooting's not good, then that could get ugly, or vice versa, right? If we just don't have like a lot of prep time for Clemson, and Clemson, I don't know when their game is before we play them. I mean, they've got a bit of a longer break, and they're at home for the game before that too, so they'll just have a little more time. I don't know. I'm stretching here, but I'm just trying to find where it could be.
Yeah, even you can't even really say UNC hangover. There is 4 days of rest between Syracuse and Duke UNC. So, I mean, the path is there. If they, I'm not advocating. I'll be honest. I'm not sure if I want to go undefeated in the regular season. I want to maybe take one more or win the conference tournament and go into March. But I mean, it's very capable. It's very possible this could happen.
Yeah,
we go undefeated in ACC and beat Illinois, then I don't care. Then I don't care.
We would be talked about on the national spotlight as the number 1 overall seed if we ran the table like that, and that'd be fun. But we know as Duke fans, that's a huge target on your back. That's already a massive target. So it's like, maybe you take one, like you said.
Yeah.
But again, if in the moment though, if Duke ran the table and won every game, I'm loving it. But
yeah.
If we take a loss, if we take just one loss, we're still in the conversation for the number 1 overall seed.
That's true. Yeah, that's facts.
Because even how they're gonna spin it on March. If like that does happen, they'll say, and I've already heard some people say it. They're like, "Oh, Duke is 2 possessions away from being undefeated, and the one of the greatest teams of all time we ever seen in the regular season." That's what it is right now. They're 2 possessions away right now from being 14-0 and being talked about in the likes of, unfortunately, 2015 Kentucky. But that's the reality of it. So I won't mind taking one. I could do it one.
Yeah.
But then who is it against? Like it has to be a Clemson or a UNC. Like I don't want to like do something because if we lose one of those games and it's like, okay, they're probably still a tournament team, right? So like, losing to a tournament team in that situation is not. Do you really want to like totally shit the bed against like, you know what I mean? Against some really bad team? Is that not going to make you go like, really? We took our foot off the gas against them? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I'd rather not do that. I'd rather take an L against a team that's going to be a tournament team and then just beat the rest of these dummies by 20 to 30.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's only 3 teams on the schedule in the conference that are any sort of threat in this conversation. It's UNC, Clemson, and then the Wake Forest game just because of last year. And it's always tough to play in Winston. And maybe Notre Dame because Marcus Burton, but that's at Duke. So I'm not really worried about that. Right. So everything else, I'm not worried about Stanford. I'm not worried about State. That's the least talked about team that's ever went to a Final Four. Like I've not heard anybody talk about NC State basketball this season because they're
bad.
Yeah,
they're bad coach and they're bad and they shouldn't have gone last year. They rode one good player all the way to the Final Four last year.
Man.
And they were bad.
I give them two,
and we let them off the hook.
I give them 2 good players, but yeah, don't pretty much carried them the whole way. That still pains me that we lost to them in the Elite Eight, but it is what it is.
That was tough. That was tough. But also, how do you guard him? Like, clearly nobody knew how to guard.
Listen, if we had, Kaman's doing a better job on him this year, man. I don't care. Who we have on him last year? Oh, Flip.
Yeah, Flip.
We didn't have bodies for a game like that. I mean,
we didn't have anybody's. Ryan Young. Oh man, I remember the Ryan Young days. Respectfully, Malik Brown versus Ryan Young. Respect. Let me not go there. All right. Yeah. So going forward, we got coming up Saturday. I think that's not much to talk about there. I don't want to jinx it though. I'm not going to jinx it. I'm not going to jinx it. Burton could go off, but Notre Dame, Miami, Boston College, maybe Wake Forest is the big one to end January. But yeah, I don't really see much struggle.
The one thing I'll say, Zion, is the non-conference schedule this year, what they prepared Duke for is the little runs the underdogs make against Duke, and Duke just knocks them out. Like SMU, like Duke was in control. Weird things happened. SMU kind of cut the lead to like 7. And Shire called a timeout. Something happened. Duke comes out, blows the doors off. It's all of a sudden 15-point game. And this Pittsburgh game, Duke was cruising, 15-17, back-to-back live ball turnovers by Isaiah Evans and Flagg. Shire calls timeout because they cut to 11. Duke wins by 30. So it's like these underdogs make these plays, or Duke gets a little sloppy. Shire calls timeout, and then Duke just blows them out because they can battle adversity and have been since the beginning of this season.
Yeah.
Duke will be favored. Duke will be favored by 20 plus in 4 of the 5 games left in January.
Absolutely.
And then we'll be favored by 15 against Wake Forest. I mean,
this is
just what it is.
I mean, ACC is bad, but I'm still not going to take for granted this team we got right now, because I mean, I think in any year this team is as dominant as they are, and there's still room for improvement. Still a whole lot of room for improvement. But I will say, Cooper Flagg, I hope the number 1 pick talk ends tonight. Enough. Dylan Harper, Frankie Vision, my brother, give it a rest. Give it a rest, bro. Give it a rest. This kid he gave a second gear tonight. I don't think we've seen that second gear. It was different in the second half, attacking the rim. Especially when he was allegedly sick. I don't know. I have no confirmation of that. I haven't heard anything if he was sick or not. Maybe Shire will talk about it post game. But nah, he was sick of Pitt. That's the only thing I saw tonight. But yeah, any thoughts going forward, fellas?
No, I mean, I think everybody is finding their rhythm. Like I said, Duke has elite role players, and that's not an insult to the guys on the team. They're so good at what they are supposed to be good at, and that is Malik Brown with causing chaos. Mason Gillis still in minutes now, and then you have Con Knipple finding his rhythm. So, and Sion James, who I talked about. So I think Duke's going to continue to be this wagon of not only. I think 5 all starters scored in double figures this game. I think we're going to continue to see these guys really find their level, and Duke's going to keep rolling. And I can't wait to watch this, because as the calendar flipped in conference play, Duke's just been dominating teams.
Yeah, there's going to be games where, like, I'm most interested to see against teams that are clearly inferior to Duke. There's going to be some run where some opponent scores like 15 straight because they just can't miss for whatever reason. A couple turnovers or whatever. What resilience do we show and continue to show throughout the course of the season against teams like that? Obviously, early in the year, we sort of kind of famously were not starting games very well. And, even this game didn't look super. I mean, maybe the very beginning looked okay, but then after that, there was a real lull there. Right. Yeah. These are the sorts of things that you don't want to super see continue. Like more than anything else, just how can we continue to punch teams in the mouth and show that we will not take our foot off the gas? How will we show resilience against adversity, especially on the road against teams that are bad, who like need to beat Duke to even compete for the NIT? And then how can Duke continue to just improve themselves, right? What can Duke do to try to get to the foul line a little bit more? What can Duke do to continue to run opposing teams off the 3-point line? Which like we're sort of below average at allowing teams to shoot threes at this point. How can we continue to, maybe take a few more 2-pointers when we go, a little dry from outside instead of doing those pass the ball around the outside? How can we go inside out more, right? When we do that, we are basically unguardable. So things like that, I want to continue to see happen. You've already got one of the best teams in the country. How can you go further and further and further? That's what I think they should be trying to strive for, and I'm sure that's what they are going to strive for.
I agree with what you said, but pause.
I don't get it.
You missed it. You missed it. But yeah. I guess I already asked y'all any final thoughts. Listen, I'm rusty too. I don't think I have anything else. I think we can wrap it up early today. It's a victory, so people aren't angry. We appreciate y'all for tuning in. Again, follow my guy J Man Takes. Go check out his video breakdowns post game. I'm sure we'll have a lot about this. And Cooper Flagg is hitting threes now. I think you said you had something for that.
Yeah, it's coming out. It's looking like he's tighter now. Like his elbows sticking out. It's more close to his body, and his feet are level like his hips. And so it's going to be a breakdown with how his release is, and it's a good one. Like it's not a coaching up or anything. It's credit to him and the staff of progressing on his shot during the season because you can see it now. Yeah,
and 1 for 2 tonight. His numbers creeping up. I think it'll regress to the mean eventually. Are we a Gonzaga podcast for the rest of this? That's a great question.
Kinda.
Like, I'm not gonna lie, we're definitely gonna have to do more shows, but I'm looking at the schedule and it's very hard. It's very hard to come up with what shows we actually have to nail because I don't know. I'm expecting a lot of blowouts.
Zion, I got one last thing to talk about this Pitt game. So I just talked about Shire called that timeout when the league got cut to 11, and that was with 8 minutes to go in the game. Pittsburgh didn't score the rest of the game. Duke went on an 18-0 run and finished the game. They made that layup 58-47. Duke won 76-47.
That's so sick.
That is crazy.
So when I say when Shire calls a timeout, Duke locks in and they just blow teams out. Like he's pissed off, and that's how you answer the bell right there.
That is crazy. They did not score the last 8 minutes.
That's why that dude punched Tyrese in the nuts. He was mad.
Looking back, I would too if I didn't score in 8 minutes and there's like 30 seconds and you're shooting a three. I'm out.
And he knows everyone talking about the Cooper Flagg dunks on Twitter. Oh man, that is crazy.
Yeah,
that's what I'm telling, man. I'm willing to go out the limb and say it's the best defense I've ever seen. But we'll let the
season left.
Yeah, we'll let the season finish. But it's a great defense, and Shire, Shire himself alluded to it preseason. So yeah,
although Shire also said we were going to run a lot more this year.
Yeah, that's I think
it's working. It's working to not run, so I'm happy to not run. Let's go.
They were running a little bit earlier in this game, but I think our pace may be similar to last year. I think I saw somewhere, in terms of number. I don't know the exact number, but I think someone was saying that
it's honestly a little slower even than last year right now.
Yeah, that's crazy. But hey, it's working. I can't. I'm not arguing with any of the results. It's 30-point wins.
Yeah, we keep winning like this. Hey,
slow it down all you want, man. I don't care. But yeah, we appreciate y'all. Like I said, I don't know when The next episode will be, well, it's definitely not gonna be Saturday. It's a noon game, you know. It's the pre-birthday weekend, so I'm gonna be off the glitter. And then Tuesday next week, maybe that's a 9 o'clock game. Whoever scheduled Miami at 9 o'clock at home is crazy.
That is crazy.
That is crazy. Like that game will be over by 9:30. Boston College, maybe. We'll let y'all know. We might do also a mid-season grades. Pod may come in the 18 to 25 stretch where we have a week off. Just, you know, our mid-season grades. Remember last year when y'all called my mid-season grades crazy? When I told y'all about Flip, and then y'all came back to your senses after. So I can't wait for that. But this one will be way more positive. So, but yeah, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. Go Duke. I'm gonna go watch that Cooper Flagg dunk about 10 more times.